Debate is changing. 10 years ago, the activity of policy debate was comfortable with a set of rules and norms. Everybody talks 300 words a minute. Everybody uses logic. Everybody uses communication. We talk about big ideas, big government policies, and we get some grand old thinking done. For decades, this model of debate worked just fine to get kids from suburban schools and rural schools and some elite private schools into this activity, and a lot of them went to the top. Good for them. It helped them an awful lot. But throughout that time, we noticed in the debate community that we were really missing out on a lot of urban kids. They seemed to be not attached to these ideas of how this activity works. And a few years ago, some people started thinking differently about it. They said, well, what if urban kids might be interested in debating a little bit differently? What if, instead of the ordinary ways of debate, talk faster, research more, know everything about the arguments of your opponent? What if instead they asked different questions? And so suddenly, kids started appearing on the scene who were asking totally new questions. They were asking, what does this debate activity have for me? What can I get out of it? What does the elitism of this activity do to exclude me? And what can my experiences say that will change the way that this activity operates and maybe change the way that our society operates? These are very interesting questions. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Education is changing. Well, education is actually always changing, but in America we are fascinated with what's new. We are fascinated with getting rid of the old because it is obsolete and introducing something instead that is new and shiny. And in education, what is new and shiny these days is this idea that actually we should put the thoughts and experiences of kids forefront in the educational process. We should make it personal for them, in other words. And this making it personal for kids has inspired a lot of different ways of teaching. I want you all to think for a second about one of the questions that Adie asked us when she designed this assignment for us, this final project, which was, how can we bring the experiences of kids into our classroom, into teaching? Well, that is sort of a loaded question because we didn't get a chance to ask why we do that or whether we should do that. It was a question of how. So I think that demonstrates something within the way that education is changing right now. One last thing about this. A few weeks ago, I had a conversation with Avner Segal, who is the professor in the College of Education in charge of secondary social studies. And he said to me that he thought TE250, everybody remember TE250? TE250 is the social studies curriculum. That's kind of an interesting comment. And I think that that reveals a lot, too, about maybe where we think education is going or where the institution that we are a part of thinks education is going. I am changing. Originally, when I came to teaching, I did so because I wanted to spread the message of debate out to as many people as possible. I wanted the power and responsibility of a teacher so that I could essentially be a missionary for competitive speech activities. Don't get me wrong, I don't actually, I haven't stopped believing that yet. I still kind of believe that. But I woke up to something a little bit different during the course of this class. I think that great teaching now is not abstract. The art, the craft, the technique, the science of teaching, these are all things that work better when they are making it personal to people. I think that there are a lot of different beliefs, there are a lot of different experiences, and making those important to teaching will help me to understand how all of the kids in my classrooms think, and that will help me to get them to succeed. I am going to admit that I don't have a lot of great content knowledge in social studies. For all you social studies people, for you history people out there, I'll tell you, this is a factoid about me. Number of courses that I have in history at MSU right now, it's a big fat 0. Yeah, so I'm nervous about that. But I am more nervous after taking this class about making that connection with each of my students, because I think that the connection itself is the most important and first step in this. Other thing I learned in TE302, I think, that was a big picture idea is that teaching is bloody difficult. Yeah, it's hard, right? I mean, we're going to get in these classrooms and these kids are going to be confronting us with a lot of challenges, a lot of different opinions and different ideas. And my idea of teaching is to start this conversation with kids, and that can be really hard. I want to create a community by prodding this conversation, trying to create kind of a team spirit, because let's face it, I'm still a coach and I'm going to keep that idea with me for a while. But that can be really difficult too. I mean, I want to test people by trying to let them show their own perspectives, show their own opinions and beliefs. But that's all very subjective. It's hard to measure. It's hard to defend, in fact. And it's hard to say with any sense of clarity that that is fair. So, I want to make it personal when I'm teaching. Well, debate is changing. Education is changing. I am changing. It seems like change is in the air. It's all around us. And with that in mind, I hereby announce my endorsement for Barack Obama. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's the wrong speech. At the beginning of this semester, I asked the question, what is the purpose of education? And I think that's a valuable question, but I think that this assignment and throughout the course of the semester, I have come to ask a different question, which is, what is the purpose of my education? What does it mean for me to be educated? What am I doing here? And I think that I can actually answer that complicated question with a 3-word simple phrase, which is, make it personal. And that means make it personal to me. It means that I bring the skills that I have with me to the table. I will bring the skills of debate with me to the table, because I've been doing debate for almost 15 years now. It's woven through me like threads in a tapestry. I like philosophy, so I'm probably going to keep thinking about the purpose of education, where it's going, why it's going, where it's going. And in courses like this, I learn a lot about what teaching really is, all the challenges that are involved in that. So those are ways that I can make it personal, to connect kids with what they know, what they like, what the curriculum is, maybe what I have to bring to that equation as well. Let me finish it up with something a little bit different. I'm going to give you now a 1-sentence summary of the entire history of human thought. 1 sentence. Here we go. Every time a group of people comes up with thinking tools in pursuit of some goal, another group of people will use those same tools to ask, why this goal? Why not another one? Or another one? And then they'll wander off. That was it. That's the history of human thought in 1 sentence. And in debate, I think that urban kids are coming up with new questions about why we should be in this activity in the first place. In education, I think we are coming up with the revolutionary new idea that what kids think actually matters. And for myself, well, I'm still wandering off, actually. But now, I call that learning. And if I help other people to wander off as well, I think I'd call that teaching. Thanks for being my classmates.
Stop capturing.